Why were you trying to contact me?
You oppose the heretics, those that took the old machines as gods.
All kinds of organics fought Sovereign and his Geth allies. Why am I so interesting?
You were the most successful. You killed their god. You succeeded where others did not. Your code is superior.
Welcome to Superior Code. In part 1, I talk about everything I loved about Starfield, and in this one, I want to talk about everything that was disappointing about it. I was expecting a 10 out of 10 game, but I got a 7 out of 10, and I bought an Xbox just for this game. So if you think there is nothing that can improve your favorite game, like whatever game that is, then you're lying to yourself. Like, I love Mass Effect 3, it's my number 1. But there are things that I can nitpick about it that I wish would change or wish that it had. But I still really love that game, so like words like perfect or masterpiece, it's mainly just used to show my excitement and hype about it. It's never literal, you know? So, anyways, full spoiler warning for Starfield. So the first thing I really want to rant about, and it's kind of long, this topic, but it's that there's just so many angry and rude characters in the game. Like, my mood of being excited about the game kept getting killed over and over when I was met with an aggressive asshole. Like, I tried to stay excited when I landed on a new world, in a new city, in a new town, and talking to every NPC I can, because I'm a completionist and I want to check out the game. And it was just annoying when 60% of them was aggressive. When, like, in other games in the past, there'd be like 25%, 30%, maybe even less than that. It was just way more rare to meet a random asshole than it is in Starfield. And I'm talking about characters who don't really have a quest. It's just like bartenders or like people who own stores, people who are doctors, stuff like that, where it's like, if you see random NPCs walking around, they don't have a name, but characters that do have a full-fledged name, usually in other games that means they're probably connected to a quest, but in this game not so much. It just makes it more immersive that they just have individual names, just for the fact of that you can buy or sell from them. So those are the characters I'm talking about, where it's like, I just want to strike conversation and get to know these characters, or even like you don't want to get to know them and you just need to talk to them real quick because you want to sell something because you have too much stuff to carry. And in Starfield, it's the first time ever where you kind of have to talk to them a little bit before you open up the option to sell and buy from them. So even if you don't want to have a conversation with them, you are forced to. And being forced to talk to these rude assholes because the game treats you like you're stupid because you're asking common sense stuff. It's like, this is the only option the game is giving me. So it's really annoying that the game is forcing you to be this Captain Obvious type person and to get a passive aggressive answer from these NPCs just really, really kills the mood for me. It's just really frustrating when the NPCs in this game act like you're looking for a fight or that you're stupid. When you're not, you're just trying to have a conversation. You're trying to open up the conversation, and I will admit, in a very cheesy way. It's really annoying how cheesy it is, but it's still polite. It's still being nice. It's my character being nice and being returned with these asshole comments. So I can't think at the top of my head right now of a example, but it's like if you give someone a gift and they're like, oh, thank you, can I open it? And you're like, of course, and they open it. If I was an NPC in this game and I gave them a gift and they said, oh, can I open it? I'd be like, of course you can fucking open it. It's a gift. Like, what, are you just never gonna open it? Like, that's how the NPCs would respond. And it's so frustrating. It's like, the person asking if they can open the gift, of course knows they can open it. They're just excited and being polite and having an icebreaker to kind of keep the conversation going instead of just silently opening the gift you just gave them. So that's the exact example of how it feels like to play Starfield when you're talking to random NPCs that aren't in the quest line or a mission or anything like that. It's just you going up to them and checking the world out, just exploring. And in other open world games, it was exciting. It was exciting doing that. And because most times when there's no quest, the NPCs won't have anything to talk about and you could just buy and sell from them. But when you can talk to them and they have a little bit of a personality, a little bit of a story, it's exciting. So that's how I was when I first started playing this game, and it just got to the point where I was starting to hesitate before I talked to new NPCs, and then just got to the point where I just didn't want to talk to anyone unless the quest tells me to. So that's sad. Like, I just don't see how anyone could play this game as a polite goody-goody and who picks the options to quickly apologize when they piss someone off. Because you have those options, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way, blah, blah, blah. But I instantly get pissed when a character becomes aggressive towards me out of nowhere. Like, that's saying something when Cyberpunk 2077 has more polite characters than Starfield. And like I said, this game sets you up for failure by making you pick these questions that seem like common sense questions, and Starfield makes every character more clever than you with their reply. They always get like the last word of some good insult or comeback to whatever the fuck you just said to them. You can never shock, impress, outwit, or like make them speechless. In the quest that made me think of Titanfall 2, the glitch in the Matrix type quest, I talk about it in part 1. But there's a doctor character that is very bitchy towards you when all she has to do is hand me supplies that her boss told her to. So just give me that and I'll be on my way. But she just has to let me know that she hates me, only for the game to not give me any option to reply to her bitchy remarks. She gets the last word and then just walks away. It's so frustrating where I can't have like the satisfying feeling of telling her to shut the fuck up and do her job or something. Like, what's the point of that? What's the point of showing me a character's angry when you can't respond at all? There's a option to inform her why, but she doesn't believe you. Like, she doesn't believe that you're teleporting to another universe or anything. She doesn't believe that, so there's no point in explaining. In a game where it makes it seem like you have so many options, and like the way it's advertised that it gives you so many options, like, I felt so limited talking to bitchy characters. And they're protected too. Like, you can't just get out your frustration and kill them and reload your game like it didn't happen. Like, they can't die. They just get downed, but then they recover and stand up again. And you can keep downing them, but it's just not satisfying as seeing their dead body on the floor like you can in like other open world games. If you did meet a root character, especially in the old Fallout games. I can't remember if you can in Fallout 4. But even in like the older games, you don't even have to get to the point of like killing them, because the games gave you good options to choose from to insult them back. I don't understand why Starfield doesn't do that too. Like, it gives you good options when you're in like a long quest or like a story-based missions and stuff like that, but like I want good insults too when it comes to like these random NPCs that you're just gonna talk to once and never again. Like, I still want to have as much of a realistic response as possible with these characters that I'm never gonna talk to again. I just want to be more immersed that way. But to act like every player who comes across these bitchy characters are just gonna sit there speechless and in shock that they were just confronted with this person, like, no, if you're the type of person to stand there speechless with, then there could be an option of that, like the ... and then that ends the conversation, and that's your character just not knowing what else to fucking say. But yeah, not everyone's gonna be like that and just let someone get away with talking to them that way. So the choice that Starfield has made, where players have to watch helplessly as these aggressive characters get to say whatever they want to us and walk away protected, is a weird choice, because why not just have it to where we can't take out our weapons? Why give the illusion that we can kill them if we can't, but still let us kill nameless NPCs and blameless ones like they did nothing to us, but we can kill them if we want? I don't understand that. Why aren't they all protected? Why can I take out my weapon at all? I don't get it. Other than to cause chaos when someone accidentally takes out the weapon and shoots or something? I don't know. Starfield, I need an explanation. And like, rude characters can be fine if there's a few of them, and like, it's a part of their personality that makes them stick out, and them being better with their sass is a part of their character writing. Like, that's fine. But there's just so many characters in this game like that. Like, it's not unique anymore. It's just not a fun experience. So, like, how this, pirate character, like, her whole personality is being bitchy. She's meant to not be liked.
Jasmine tells me that you not only brought us the comm spike, but an entire prototype UC ship. I'm impressed, Rook. Very impressed.
Should have taken the compliment, Rook. Dale doesn't give those out often. Juan gave us the...
Very impressed.
Yeah, nice try, Rook. We know you didn't have a choice. Juan gave us...
So it's really annoying when her character is just copy and paste throughout the whole game. So I got to this quest pretty late, so I had already seen her character so many times. She wasn't unique by this point. It's just now I get to have a quest with her. How fun. So she's meant to be not liked, but I don't think the game devs intended for me to not like her on this level, to where it extended to shop owners, restaurant owners, and like hotel owners, because I just stopped talking to them. And one of the main points to talk to them is to get quests, because you can unlock quests that way. And I'm sure I missed out a lot because I stopped doing it. Like, it would be fun if this was a comical game. Like, all the rudeness would fit in a comical game so we can laugh with the characters. But it's not, it's serious. Like, there are funny moments in the game, like any other game, but for the most part, it's serious. In that pirate quest where you're, like, infiltrating the pirates, but you're really working for the Vanguard. There's like a rich guy you come across, and he's like, oh, let me use smaller words for someone like you. Like, his character would be so funny if it was in the Outer Worlds game, but in Starfield, it's just annoying because you don't have a good response to him speaking to you that way. It's like Starfield doesn't think players will roleplay too hard alone, which is how I play. It's like this game was instead meant to be played casually while friends or an audience watches. And then you all can just laugh at how mean the characters are because it's ridiculous. That's what it feels like the game was made for when you're confronted with these rude people. For no reason. And the fact that your character can't point out that they're rude. Like, I want to be able to have Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas type responses to assholes. It's so satisfying playing those games more. Like, the Outer Worlds just does such a good job at, like, never pissing you off, and all of, like, the smug, rich, high and mighty lifestyle type characters in the game is funny. It's so ridiculous, and they're self-aware, and it's so funny. You're supposed to laugh with and at them, and your character has a lot more sarcastic responses to them and everything. It's so good. Like, that game, you never get pissed off at an evil character in that game. But a character in Starfield, characters who aren't evil, but just rude, you automatically hate more than the evil ones. I even tried a lot role-playing in my head that certain options in the game is just my character being sarcastic or lying. But the game will say when an option is actually having you lie, but it doesn't show up that much. It's very rare. So if I don't really like any of the other options, I'll just pick an option and just act like I'm lying. Because that's the only thing I can do. So it's only me having this headcanon. But it's fun because I was playing as a two-faced spy with the type of background that I gave her, that I explained more in part 1. But in the game Outer Worlds, it does have a liar option pop up so often. It's very fun. When I was talking to a bartender on Mars in Starfield, the option to ask about any gossip popped up, and he responded that he wasn't going to tell any secrets about his loyal customers. And I seen an option to reply with, it said something like, "Come on, you can tell me." And I read it playfully and jokingly like that. Like I was just joking around with him. And I thought he would just like laugh it off and like change the subject. But he got so pissed and ended the conversation, and it really killed my mood. Like, it reminded me of my dad when I was little, and he would just not know how to take a joke. Like, I didn't think the option of like, "Come on, you can tell me," option was actually me being bratty or demanding. I really thought it was just two characters having a friendly conversation. Ugh. And then there was that woman in the slums who was like a restaurant owner that just treated you automatically like you were gonna cause trouble. So it made you want to cause trouble. And then there was the guy that was a restaurant owner in the slums on a different planet that just wanted to be offended. When you pick one of the conversation starters, like, it was something like, "How's business down here?" He goes off about how I'm so ignorant to think that people down here in the slums don't make money to give him a business. When I picked, "Nice place you have set up here," he says, "It's not a nice place and don't blow smoke up my ass." And it's like, I don't know what his point is. Like, if he has a quest, I haven't come to it yet, he's just pointless. He's just supposed to be here and be bitchy about the fact that he's poor. Like, I don't know. And the place that he has is nice compared to the slums. Like, if you go outside, it's dirty. If you go inside his little restaurant, it's clean. So it is better looking than it is outside. So it's just an NPC made to piss off players. Because I really don't know what else he's there for. Like, there is a way to protect quests and still let players kill characters. Because that's how Fallout 3 was, where you could kill anyone you wanted. And if they were connected to a quest, that quest still wouldn't... The quest wouldn't break, because you could just look in their pockets and they have the note that you need. Like, it'll just pop up whenever you need it. Or they'll have, like, a personal locker or a personal room that you could go into later that has the thing that you need, or a personal terminal. And they could have done that in Starfield. They could have had characters where they have their own little personal locker, terminal, tablet, whatever, if they ever were needed. And just let us kill who we want. Like, what's the point of letting characters kill random NPCs and just hurting the named NPCs and to get a bounty on our head if we can't actually do the damage that we want to do? And that restaurant owner in the slums only wanted to sell stuff, not talk to you. So, because there's like, that's one of the NPCs where you could just go right into what do you have to sell, and he's fine. But if that's the case, then why are so many NPCs like that? Like, why even have the option to talk to them at all if they don't want to talk? If that's all they're gonna respond like that? Like, the time wasted on giving these pointless characters lines could have been spent on making more romanceable characters. And I'll get into that later. And during that quest, when you're infiltrating the pirate crew, the captain of the Vanguard group that kidnapped you, like, there's a moment where you just came back from the pirates to update them, and he's like, "Where have you been?" And you can say that you've been busy doing your job, and he'll respond with like, "Don't act like you're doing some noble action. You were forced to do this." Like, no shit. Like, there are so many moments where I could just not do it, and it is noble, because I could have left anytime, or I could have just gotten arrested, did my time, or paid my fees. I could have just told the pirates what the Vanguard is doing. So it is noble, but you don't get to say that. You don't get to say, hey, instead, I'm risking my life to take down these pirates for the Vanguard. I literally have the most important job. It's so annoying that the game doesn't let you stand up for yourself better. Like, the NPCs having to look so big and bad by getting the last word in, it's so cheap. And in that same quest, like that same area, the location, when you update them that the pirate captain is like smart, doing something smart, and to not underestimate him or whatever, there's a Vanguard woman soldier that says, "You sound like you admire him." And you can say that you're just warning them to not underestimate him, and she responds with, "Call it whatever you want, he's a murderer who killed my friends." And the conversation just gets interrupted by the captain saying, "Stop arguing, let's get back on track." It doesn't let you have the last word in. Why didn't they interrupt after I said something? It's just annoying how this quest makes it seem like the Vanguard is so stupid. Like, you're really going to underestimate a powerful enemy because you don't want to give him any of a hint of a compliment. It's really annoying. Maybe all of her friends wouldn't have died if they didn't underestimate him, but the game doesn't let you say that. I don't know. it made me think of and appreciate more Mass Effect 3, where Garrus is having a conversation with a random NPC, and they're talking about the tactics of the enemy, and Garrus is coming off like he's really admiring them, and like he's giving the enemy all these compliments, and the soldier's like, why do you sound like you admire them? And he's like, I can see how something is strong, but also know not to be on their side. Like, I know how dangerous it is. If you underestimate your enemy, then they're gonna get the better of you. You have to admit when the enemy does something smart. Like, just because I don't like the enemy doesn't mean that I'm not impressed by them. So it really made me love Mass Effect even more, and other games too that have these good points of both sides. And then here comes Starfield that only lets you hear one side, and you have to think to yourself the other side. You can't like inform the soldiers that we need to start admiring parts of the enemy if we're gonna beat them. And there's a guy at the desk at Ryujin Industries on the executive level, I think. And you can like chat with him, and he talks to you all happy about how he loves working with his family. But then he quickly gets angry if you ask if he has any interesting stories. And he's like, I don't gossip, leave me alone. It's like, it just didn't fit the vibe that we were having. And there's a lot of that in this game, like this clip.
I appreciate everything you've done for me. Yes, can I help you? Quieter, much quieter. I think dealing with Headlock has convinced Seoka to back off from harassing my shop. And according to what I've heard, everyone else's. This should finally give me the time I need to concentrate on running my business, rather than wasting time looking over my shoulder. I'm not telling you a thing. I've already reported what I saw to security. Stop wasting my time and leave. Your presence is bad for business.
The tone change is so jarring and very frustrating. Like, it's so worth it to have each character remember what you did for them, or remember the conversation you were just having and what type of mood they were in, and for it to continue through with another question. Like, if you're nice to them but asking about their family, that they kept the same tone. As like, oh, sorry, I don't want to gossip, so sorry about that. Versus like, if I didn't ask about his family and I ask about the gossip, and then him saying, I don't want to gossip, leave me alone, he has no idea who I am, then that would make more sense. Or like the store owner, like, I helped him with the quest and he acts like I'm bad for his business and there for trouble, when he knows I'm not. He knows more about me, a little bit about me, than me just walking up and acting like I'm a cop about this investigation. Like, it's so worth it to put more work into the NPCs and not having these jarring tone shifts.
Here we are. The place where Jasper Griggs laid the groundwork for finding the legacy and eventually the Crimson Fleet. The lock.
Yeah, he needs to get this thing open, like, right now. It's freezing out here.
Then crank up your suit heat, Mathis, because it's probably not going to get much better once we are inside. All right, let's keep moving. Standing out here isn't doing us any good.
Like, he acts like I was arguing with him, keeping him from going inside. If the game wants my character to act a certain way because they only recorded a line saying it in a specific tone, then just give me that option. Like, sometimes in Fallout New Vegas, it will only give players one option because that's the only way the story would work. It's okay, just do that. But if I pick, I'm ready, got it, I agree, let's go, and the game treats me like I didn't say those things, like I'm not, okay, I'm ready, then what's the point? So yeah, like I said, it's a long rant about little nitpicks to other people, but for me this is huge because it was the main thing that kept interrupting me role-playing. So I don't know why the game would ever assume that I would join the pirates when they were nothing but jerks to me. Like, the game made it so easy for me to continue betraying them and not even having a second thought about it. But the game acts like it was supposed to be this hard choice and you're so torn to betray them finally. Like, there's so many options to say that you feel bad or that you were tempted to join them or to tell them the truth and, oh, I'll help you take that bomb out of your chest. Sorry, Starfield, but you suck at making it hard to hurt the pirates. Like, that storyline needed to be better written if I was supposed to feel conflicted, because I did not at all. But I will say I did love the option to tell the guy with the bomb in his chest that he fucking deserved it, because he joined that. He joined them and chose to do that. So I was so happy to be able to tell him that you deserve death. So I only talked to him once because it was already at the point of the game where I stopped talking to random NPCs. So in the main point of that quest, you have to talk to him once, and that's the only time I talked to him. So I'm guessing you can become close to him. Oh wow, thanks Starfield for making me miss out on that. But yeah, it's very annoying how there's so, like, when you're talking to the Vanguard, you can actually tell them that you're conflicted. I don't understand why anyone ever would be. Because, like, if you're playing a character who's completely ruthless, then yes, you would join the pirates. But there's so many options for you to pick a polite response and still want to join the pirates. I don't know how that fits. That's really weird. It's like you would have to play this submissive character who loves being talked down on. Because I don't know how any other way it would work. In open world games, usually there's like 3 or 4 ways to complete a quest or an objective. But in Starfield, that doesn't happen all the time. So I had to pay a character to sell something to the pirates to get their attention. And there was no other way to get that info myself. I couldn't hack her computer, I couldn't pick her pockets, I couldn't open her safe, I couldn't use the mind control tool on her for a speech check or anything. I had to pay this smug character in order to continue the quest. Like, this is the first open world game that has felt so limited. But like I said, I was role-playing. So if you're just playing casually, none of this is going to be a problem for you. You just sit back and enjoy. I am so thankful I ended up really loving the Halo series, because it would have made me feel really bad to get the Xbox just because of Starfield and ended up not loving it that much. But I'm still gonna hype something up if I'm interested in it, because it's more fun that way. The disappointment I'm feeling is worth the fun of the hype leading up to playing the game. Like, I don't regret having this feeling. I'm gonna feel this way for Mass Effect 5, for the Outer Worlds 2, for the next Cyberpunk game, for, like, the Starfield DLC. So, living with low expectations just isn't for me. Also, Sarah was locked in as my companion during being kidnapped by the Vanguard captain, like, to start the pirate quest. It was linked to the main story where it leads us being arrested by them because we stole the artifact off a ship and got reported. And it was just stupid how the Vanguard never mentions her being with me. The pirates never mention her either. It was just so dumb to have her stuck with me because she was useless even on the main quest. I don't understand why she had to be stuck with me. The game should have just recommended a companion to take, but don't actually force them on me. Because it took me out of being immersed in the story, just having her tag along with me when I felt like I should have been solo infiltrating the pirates. So I had to put a pause on the pirates just to go drop her off so she wouldn't be stuck with me. But then that started the whole hunter attack on the city and led to Sam's death. So it would have been nice to experience all of that after taking down the pirates. Because taking down the pirates after that felt small compared to what just happened with the hunter. Thanks, Starfield. There's an article about how Starfield's player agency is boring. That to have the game allow its world to revolve around the player is boring. And the example it gives is when a NPC at the bank hires you to collect debt, and they tell you not to kill, but if you kill, you still get rewarded and can be hired by them. Like it never happened. So I kind of agree with the article, but like I just said, I think Starfield doesn't do a good job at letting players do what we want. Like, I wanted to just kill all the rich people sitting at the table that wouldn't let the ship land there and live there. The ship that reminded me of the Quarians that I talked about in part 1. The group of rich people, they give you options to choose from, and you have to choose those options. You can't do anything else. So that's where it's like, I feel like the game doesn't revolve around you. But I know what the article is getting at, and I'll link the article in the description. So I know what it means, and I can see player agency being boring in some games and future open world games. Like, I also love it when there's more thought put into consequences towards players who murder or do something that the NPCs told them not to do. Like, I totally agree with punishing players more or punishing them better than just, oh, well, you're still gonna get paid, but you're not gonna get paid that much. Like, there needs to be more punishment in that. I don't like the title for the article. It is overdramatic. I think that's the point, for it to get clicks. But what it's actually saying, I agree with, and I do want better games to be made that punish players. It's like, I do want a game where you can do whatever you want, but I want there to be consequences, just like, yeah, it's free speech, you can say whatever you want, but you're gonna get reactions and consequences to whatever you say. I would like that in a game. It's one of the big reasons why I hate the speech skill in games, because it feels like a cheat code, and I talk about that in part 1, where I think the skill should only be linked to how good you can lie. But if you're not lying, then the speech skill is a cheat. Or until you get the mind control tool, then the speech skill shouldn't be a thing. But also, as a woman, I love feeling powerful in these games. Like, I sometimes want to feel like the world revolves around my character. It's such a good way to escape the real world where I don't matter. Like, I'll never be in the history books, you know? So, like, playing Female Shepherd from Mass Effect was one of the best experiences I've had in games. Like, playing this woman who becomes a legend and her story gets passed down through generations, like, it feels really good being that important. So that's why I really hate the title of the article, but I do think the rest of it has a good point. But the title is just an over-exaggeration. I don't think it's gonna be the death of games if stories that revolve around the character still exist, but I do want more games to stop doing that, because it does get old. It does feel very, very cheesy when it acts like your character can do no wrong and can never be taken down. So yeah. The article makes another point that I really agree with, and it's that a mute and silent protagonists are really boring and hard to relate to. Like, Dead Space 1 was dull compared to the second game and the third one, because the main character talks in the other two. In the first one, you just feel like an errand boy. So when Dead Space 1 got a remake, it was like a dream come true. It made the character feel much more alive and made the story more interesting, with him reacting and responding to everything around him. Like, I am so sick of silent protagonists. I want it to just die out in the AAA games. Like, unless the game shocks me and it gets creative, then by all means, have a silent protagonist. The only game I know that has like a silent protagonist that works, that still makes the character feel alive, was Portal 2. Because they actually call your character a mute. So she actually is one. While main characters in other games aren't actually mute. The NPCs act like they're talking, like Link in Zelda. Like, the characters act like Link is speaking to them, but we just don't hear it because it's just the game. And other games like it being lazy or too cheap to hire a voice actor. Or, I know like with the Zelda games, it's just tradition now, that's just how it is for that. But other games don't have that excuse. So, I also think that the main character in Portal is on a spectrum, because it gives us clues, like how she will jump when a character asks her to speak up, but she doesn't know how to talk, so she just jumps, and that's like the joke in the game. But also added with, in the canon comic, it shows that she was chosen to go up against Gladys because she's stubborn and refuses to give up. So that's the reason why she keeps passing all of these puzzles. It's every player's different, so it's not like she gets the puzzles on the first try every time. It's like no matter how long she stays on a puzzle, she's gonna keep at it, while everyone else usually gives up. Most players just look up the puzzles. So, and then Gladys calls her a lunatic. So it could have just been a random insult, but it could be something in her profile that says there's something wrong with her mentally. So, like, for the profile to have that she's stubborn and stuff, like, it doesn't really give a big enough reason on why she's there in the first place. It's just kind of open, left the mystery open to that. So, I just think Portal 2 works with her being a silent protagonist because they address it and they're self-aware of it, and she literally does not talk to them. And Starfield does give your character a voice. Like, the other characters from the other universes have a voice, so it's weird that they couldn't let us actually play the character with the voice. Like, I know the main reason is because they want people to be able to, like, see themselves in their character, and it's not like they're gonna hire a bunch of voice actors so that we can choose which one fits our voice the most. But it would be great if it did that. It'd be wonderful. Like, Dragon Age Inquisition has it to where you can choose 2 types of voices, like one with an accent and one without. So it would be cool if there was a lot more like that, and a lot more choices, obviously. So, and the last thing about the article that I agree with is that exploring untouched planets is really boring in Starfield. But, like, exploring space is fun. I love finding random ships and wondering if they're going to be friendly or not. It's just exploring whole planets that suck. Like, it felt as boring as the planets in Mass Effect 1. But the planets in Mass Effect Andromeda and the planets in the Outer Worlds game, those were better because the planets didn't feel empty. There were caves with quests and items to discover, and in Mass Effect Andromeda, you can drive around and the NPCs will talk to each other. So it just felt more natural and had lots of quests to find. Plus, you don't have to run everywhere, so that was just a huge plus that Starfield was just such a chore with. Like, I really hated the planet exploration on that. And I will say, I tried making an outpost and I just couldn't get into it. So that's something I have to do on like a third playthrough for sure. And the Freestar Rangers quest was a big letdown. Even more so because I had just beaten the Vanguard quest where you just join the Vanguard and you discover the Terramorphs. Like, that quest was amazing, and I talk about it in part 1. And coming off of that high and landing on this quest was really bad. And as far as the Rangers knew, I was just a rookie with no experience with combat. Like, I just talked down a group in the bank and that's all they know about me. But they ordered me to go take down a group of spacer outlaws all alone. Like, yes, I can take a companion with me, but they don't tell me to do that. And they don't at least have a ranger go with me to keep an eye on me and help me out a little. Like, still having 2 people or 3 people taking out a whole group, it's impressive. So I know it's just a game, but I like it when the writing has more thought put into it to help make it feel more immersive and real as it can. Like, just have them make a ranger tag along throughout the whole quest line. Like, something like that helps it make sense that I'm leading this investigation. Like, I'm just a new recruit and I'm the one put on this. Like, as soon as they found out how dangerous and serious this quest is, they should have immediately tried to take me off it and put someone more experienced on it. And just try to have me convince them to let me stay on only if I have someone tagging along with me. So it was just really weird. You could tell they kind of just hurry and rush to put this quest together versus the other one that looked like they put a lot more thought into the writing with the Vanguard quest. Like, that Terramorph quest did a better job at treating you like a new recruit that like just stumbled upon something big, and I have to stay with it because I am the key witness, and they don't always have me go alone. Like, they actually only have me go alone when they think it's gonna be as simple as just walking into a place and coming back. Then obviously it's a game, so like when I walk in there, there's gonna be trouble. But the characters who ordered me to go didn't expect trouble. When they do expect it, they have someone go with me. So yeah, the Rangers quest just didn't do a good job at treating this new recruit who becomes important. It just, nah. But you do get a really cool ship at the end, so I guess I recommend doing this quest as quickly as you can, just for the ship itself. I wish Starfield's story had the characters struggle more with believing me. I don't like how easy they took the news of there being another Sam and the multiverse being real. Like, it's a futuristic game. How hard is it to require me to have a picture or a recording of the other Sam and the Hunter standing side by side, and the Hunter looking like the priest or the keeper that they all know? That's all the proof they would need, at least. Like, I know the game is just trying to hurry and continue with the story, but it's okay to have longer dialogue scenes or cutscenes or whatever, just for it to feel more better written, you know? I also wish that they would be freaking out more that I got superpowers. Like, I feel like the powers are more exciting than the multiverse thing because they don't have to wait and see it. I can show them immediately that the powers exist. And if I can do it, then the others can get powers too. Like, why aren't any of them rushing to these temples to see if they can get powers, instead of just letting me get all of them? I just wish the story would explore that. This is the perfect example of like what I just talked about with that article, where it feels like the world is revolving around the players and it could feel boring. This is the better example it could have used. But I guess the article was trying to stay away from spoilers, but yeah, this is one of the things where I really hope Mass Effect 5 isn't an open world, because I really want them to focus on story, dialogue, and long cutscenes. Like, I don't want the game to worry about having to hurry and let the players go back to gameplay. Like, let me see this interactive movie. It's okay. And The Wake was so lazy, the way it was done and how it was set up, and like what the characters said, it was so cheesy, and they just like talked about life and death. Like, I don't understand why they didn't just share moments with Sam that they can remember. It would have been fun to learn about Sam that way, and maybe see a side to him we couldn't see when he was alive, you know? Like, and I know when Bennett went up there to talk about how what happens to her dead body was supposed to come off as funny, but added to the other companions that just talked about life and death, it was just bad. It was just really bad. Mass Effect 3 did a better job at the Wake for the character in that game. Like, the teammates shared moments that stuck with them and we, the player, never knew about. Like, some teammates said what they thought about them at first and then what they thought about them now. Like, the Wake just wasn't cringe in Mass Effect 3. It was just a love letter to that character, and it didn't feel rushed. It felt like, okay, this is what we're gonna do for this character, because they were a companion to the players. But in Starfield, it feels rushed, and I know it's because there's different universes, and you could see Sam again in New Game Plus, but I still wished they would take their time, because at least make it seem like Sam matters in my own universe, instead of being like, you'll get over it because you're gonna see him again. I really wish that the random NPCs that you can hire, I wish that they were romanceable. At least some of them, because I really wanted them to feel important. Because once you talk to them and get to know them, that's it. There's no more opening up. Like, if not romanceable, at least make it to where we can become close friends with them. Like, I also think it's a bummer that the companions don't talk to each other on the ship. They only talk to you if you walk next to them. I wish they bonded with each other and we got more out of their story that way by overhearing their conversations. Mass Effect 3, Mass Effect Andromeda, and The Outer Worlds does a great job at making the companions feel alive just by having them interact with each other around your ship. Andromeda does it the best out of all of these because it really makes your ship feel active. Because the companions move around so much. Like, every time you get off the ship and they come back, their layout of where the placements of where the characters are different every time. And I love that. And in all 4 Mass Effect games, the companions will talk to each other while you're out exploring. It just makes the game feel really immersive and fun when the only option isn't, oh, if you want to get to know this character, you have to talk to them. I like that you get to know these characters by listening to them talk to each other. And I know there are other games like Dragon Age where the companions are just as talkative, but I'm just trying to keep the list short and keep it to sci-fi because it's already longer than it needs to be. It's in 2 parts, so the companions in Starfield are very annoying in battle because they don't attack enemies fast enough, the AI just isn't that great, and they wait for me to go into a room full of enemies before they do sometimes, and it's really frustrating because you never know when the AI is going to be stupid and when it's not going to be. But in Mass Effect and the Outer Worlds, the companions in those games have special abilities, and the special abilities make them automatically attack enemies and points them in the middle of battle, giving you time to heal, reload, or take cover. And the fact that you have 2 companions, it really helps a lot. Versus in Starfield, you're kind of on your own. If your companion's doing something stupid, you can't call them over. It's really frustrating. Okay, this next one is very nitpicky, but I'm just still gonna keep it on my list because it is something that takes me out of the game when I'm role-playing, is that the companions in New Game Plus don't mention my awesome Star Guardianship at all. Like, I'd like them to say something about it while they're inside. It's very different and very advanced, and they have nothing to say about it. They also have the same personal questions I can ask, and they answer the exact same way. But my character can't let them know. Like, why don't I have an option to ask them different questions? That'd be kind of cool to open up and unlock more questions in New Game Plus, instead of asking the same ones I asked in my own universe. Also, the priest in New Game Plus won't talk to me much when I show him that I'm a Starborn, but he'll talk to me openly in my own universe once I do learn of the Starborns. Like, it's just lazy writing. Like, I was looking forward to his thoughts on me showing up earlier and asking him to talk to me more about Unity now that I understand it better. But nope. And the goodbyes are the same. Like, they kept saying they wonder if we're gonna split up. And I know for a fact that we do. But the game won't let me warn them. Like, I can help them make sure if they want to go, because I know they were all gonna end up alone. It's just, it's very lazy. It's very lazy. There's nothing more to say about it. And I want to talk about the romances now, like the romantic options. There's just 4 of them, and all 4 were just boring to me. I didn't like them that way. And I usually will romance someone in a game, even if I'm not really that into them. There'll be something about them that'll interest me, that I'll do it. But this was the first game where I didn't. Like, I explained in part 1 the only reason why I romanced Sam in New Game Plus, so just go listen to that one because it's long. But even just based off of looks, the men were to me. Like, I wish I liked their personality enough to date them, but I didn't. I thought Bennett was annoying. Like, I did like becoming friends with them. It was fine. But dating them, nah. They were just very annoying to me. Very goody-goody. And I'm not into women, but in games I can overlook that and just romance them anyways and try them out, but I just didn't feel motivated to do that with this game. Like, I guess that just shows how much I love the other games more, where I want to check out all of the romantic options, but I just didn't love Starfield that much to do that. And I would have loved to romance some of the NPCs I hired. Like I've said before, like, there were some that were, like, really interesting, and I could see myself dating this person, like, my character would get along with them, but you can't. So it's just, oh well. And the music in Starfield was nothing special. I ended up turning it all the way down in my second playthrough. But in The Witcher 3, Fallout 3, 4, New Vegas, and all 4 Mass Effect games, they all have some good soundtracks that, like, when you hear them, you feel nostalgia to play those games again. And with Cyberpunk 2077 having the best soundtrack, like, where the songs on the in-game radio are good, and the background music, like, you never want to play those games with the music turned off. But that was it. So to end on a good note, like, I was ready to stop playing this game and get into Cyberpunk just to get ready for the new DLC for Cyberpunk. But Starfield shocked me with how awesome its New Game Plus is. And like how exciting it was to continue playing. Like I get so much into it in part 1. But like, good job Starfield, because I love that so much. Like, I do recommend this game. It's a 7 out of 10 for me, but I've seen people on Reddit say it's a 10 out of 10 for them, and it's very fun, and I've seen a lot of, because I'm in the girl gaming Reddit, and so many women love it. So those posts make me happy and like, make me remember the hype I had about this game, and I didn't look at any trailers or any demos or gameplay footage or anything like that. I just knew I wanted this game. And overall, I am glad I got it because I do really like it. I feel like I could have waited. You know, I feel like I could have waited where the Xbox Series X was on sale, but I just seen the S series on sale and I just got that one, but I do want the X series, so I feel like I could have waited. But I get into the games I recommend to check out if you loved this game or you didn't like it but you really wanted to love this game. It's The Outer Worlds, Mass Effect Andromeda, and Cyberpunk, and I get into that in part 1 on why I recommend them. But really quickly, the reason I recommend them is because all 3 is open world, all 3 is sci-fi, and the companions are better in those games where they talk to each other on ships and while exploring. And in Outer Worlds, I really can't stress this enough because that's my first recommendation for everyone, is that game. I feel like it's a little underrated. But evil, rude, or smug characters cannot piss you off in that game. It's like getting angry at an evil character in Spaceballs or Futurama. It just doesn't happen. So, go check those games out. And thanks for listening.